Right now here on Rebuild Reality, the answer to why you're really here in 3D reality to begin with. Hi, I'm your host, Piper Sky Cheyenne, and welcome to Rebuild Reality, where we talk about who we really are, why we're here, and how this all works. So I want to go ahead and welcome you back. And I had a friend yesterday who was really struggling. She's had a lot of things going on, and she's, been into this thing. She's been trying to manifest things. She's been working on so much stuff, being aware of who she is and coming up in so many different ways that are so amazing. But she was struggling at this time because she's like, well, what's the point? What's really the point of it all? Like, why am I really here? What am I doing here? And that's when we talked about this, and we had this fantastic conversation. And the whole point of it is that we are God experiencing ourselves as God, right? But we don't understand that, obviously. Now, God is all things, and you can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it creator, you can call it anything you want to call it, but it's all things. There's nothing that it's not. So God in God's essence is all things, knows all things, understands all things. There's nothing that God can see, can have an awareness of that is not God. So God doesn't really know who God is, because it's like being a fish in water, right? So a fish in water doesn't know what water is because it doesn't know the opposite. It doesn't know what being out of water is. And that's why God created the entire experience of the illusion of separation, of not being, of being without, of being a feeling of separation from oneself. Because that's certainly what we have here. We're like, well, what's going on? Why am I here? What's happening? And we experience these feelings of lack, right? A lack of money, a lack of love, a lack of health, a lack of peace, joy, contentment, safety. We have this sense of lack because we have this sense of separation. But it's all an illusion that's been created so God can experience God, right? So it's God projected in the illusion of being outside of God in order to come to the awareness, to wake up to the reality that they are God, to be able to have the experience of being God. Because when you're God and you don't know anything else, well, there's no experience of being God because you don't have anything to compare it to, because there's nothing that you're not. So there's nobody else there. There's no comparison. There is no opposite. Whereas here we have that sense of opposites, which is why we call this duality, where we have on and off and left and right and here and there and up and down. But we experience all these things of these feelings of lack where we don't have things. When in reality, the real truth is we've got everything. This is the experience of waking up to our God selves. Now, what does that involve? That involves, a lot of people think that involves like being able to manifest, right? Coming into their power through the power of manifestation to try and convince themselves that they really do have power, that they really are God. But of course, the mind's always going to be like, yeah, well, what about this? What about that? It's always going to diss everything, no matter what. So we kind of take that out of the equation. We understand that the mind doesn't know. Because if the mind really knew, well, if it knew what was going on here, it'd know who you really are. It would know what this is all about. It would know how this 3D reality works, how to get everything you want, but it doesn't, right? So this is why we go beyond to find this other information. So, and that is the process of becoming aware, of awakening, becoming self-realized. So that's literally what's going on here. Now, confidence is a massive part of this. So most people think that this is about, affirming and struggling and believing and trying and waiting, and being good enough. I've done it enough. I've done it right. I've affirmed long enough. I've imagined correctly. I've done all these things and still not here, right? Oh, it's not about us doing that and sitting there waiting for it to show up. And it's not that it can't. It's that the real reason to be here is to go out and get it, to proclaim it, to take it, because it belongs to you. You become it. You are that person. You are God in this reality. You are the experience of God coming to that awareness, right? So when you decide on something, I'm going to have it. Have you ever had that experience? And I think most of us have, where you just decide that's it. You put your foot down. I'm doing this and that's it. I don't care. I had a friend of mine and she was told a number of years ago, she's like, you can't have children. It's impossible. You can't do it. And she's like, she literally at the doctor's office, she's like, well, I'm having them. She's like, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care what it takes. I'm having them because I want kids. And doctor's like, okay, 3 months later, she was pregnant, right? Because she didn't accept their reality. That was their reality. It has nothing to do with her reality. And it's the same for you. Your reality is your choice. You go out and you proclaim it. You take it. You do it. And you don't let anybody or anything, their opinions, get in your way and influence you. So it's that kind of confidence. And when you'll notice when you put your foot down on things that magically they happen. Suddenly, So what's taking place is once you decide as your God self, that's the way it's going to be. That's what I'm going to have. And you go out and you're like, all right, here we go. This is happening now. Then reality will literally start being like, all right, let's go. We got to start making these things happen, because it's only when we decide. And that's why nothing happens when we just sit there and we're waiting and we're struggling, we're affirming, we're trying. We're like, why is it happening to me? You don't wait. We don't wait. We are God. You are God. You go out there and you do it because it's yours. And I don't mean that you're shoving people out of the way. They can have what they want and they can do what they want. And that is absolutely the way it's supposed to be. But you get what you want and it's yours because it belongs to you. So I have another friend who is an extremely wise individual. I often say I'm one of the most advanced beings I've ever met on the entire planet. So when he begins to visualize things and go for things, he literally sees out of the corners of his eyes particles beginning to come together. And if you understand anything about quantum physics, this is precisely what is happening. They've proven this, that's exactly what's going on. So this matter run by this decision to do what you want comes together and follows what you say to do. And that's you being in your God self. This is how reality works. And that's the answer to why you're really here in 3D reality. So thank you for joining me here on 3D reality. I hope that helps. Go ahead and comment, like, subscribe, and share. It's all helpful to all of us. And, welcome. It's nice to have you here. I'll see you next time on Rebuild Reality.